Hi, Cookie Kid. Here's another great story for you today.
Bluebeard. Once upon a time, there was a wealthy man named Bluebeard. He was called Bluebeard because his beard was a strange, dark shade of blue. He lived in a grand castle filled with treasures, rare tapestries, and fine furniture. Despite his wealth, people in the village feared him because of his odd appearance and the strange rumours surrounding him. Rumours that said each of his wives had mysteriously disappeared. One day, Bluebeard decided it was time to marry again. He invited a noble family with 2 beautiful daughters to his castle for a week of feasting and merriment. He set out to charm the younger daughter, Isabella, who was kind-hearted and innocent, unaware of the sinister stories about him. Bluebeard showered her with attention, gifts, and promises of a life filled with luxury. Over time, Isabella grew fond of Bluebeard, finding him polite and generous. When he asked her to marry him, she hesitated but eventually agreed, convinced that the tales of his past were nothing more than rumours. After their wedding, Isabella moved into Bluebeard's castle, where she was dazzled by its beauty. She spent her days exploring the vast rooms, admiring the treasures and jewels that filled each chamber. She was surrounded by luxury beyond her imagination, and Bluebeard's servants treated her like royalty. One day, Bluebeard told Isabella he had to leave for a business trip. Before he left, he handed her a ring of keys, each one unique in size and shape. "These keys unlock every room in the castle," he said. "Feel free to explore as much as you like." Isabella's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Thank you, my husband," she replied, eager to see more of the grand castle. Bluebeard held up a small golden key. "But," he said, his tone turning cold, "this key opens the room at the end of the west wing. Under no circumstances are you to enter that room. If you disobey me, you will regret it." Isabella nodded, hiding her curiosity. "I promise," she said. But as Bluebeard rode away, leaving her alone in the castle, her thoughts kept drifting back to the forbidden room. For days, Isabella explored the castle, visiting grand halls filled with glittering chandeliers, libraries with towering shelves of books, and rooms filled with luxurious furniture and priceless artwork. She admired each new treasure she discovered, yet in the back of her mind, the forbidden room lingered. One afternoon, unable to resist any longer, she took the small golden key from her pocket and made her way down the west wing. Her heart pounded as she walked down the silent corridor, finally stopping before the forbidden door. With trembling hands, she inserted the key into the lock. "It's just one quick look," she whispered to herself. "No one will ever know." The door creaked open and Isabella stepped inside. The room was dark and damp, with only a faint shaft of light filtering through a narrow window. As her eyes adjusted to the darkness, she felt a chill creep over her. Then she saw it. The room was filled with the remains of Bluebeard's previous wives. Each one lay on the cold stone floor, their dresses tattered and faded. Isabella covered her mouth to stifle a scream, horrified by the truth of the rumours. Her heart raced as she realised what she was seeing. Bluebeard had murdered each of his wives and hidden their bodies in this room. She stumbled back, nearly dropping the key, and fled the room, closing the door behind her. But as she looked down, she saw that the key was stained with blood. No matter how hard she tried, the stain would not come off. It was as though the key itself had betrayed her disobedience. The next day, Bluebeard returned home, and Isabella greeted him, her face pale and her hands trembling. Bluebeard noticed the fear in her eyes and looked closely at the ring of keys in her hand. "Bring me the keys," he commanded, his voice cold and suspicious. Isabella's heart pounded as she handed him the ring of keys, desperately hoping he wouldn't notice the bloodstain. But Bluebeard's sharp eyes quickly found the tiny blood-stained key. "You have disobeyed me," he said, his voice growing menacing. "You went into the forbidden room, didn't you?" Isabella tried to steady her voice as she begged for mercy. "Please, my lord, forgive me. I didn't mean to disobey you." Bluebeard's face twisted with rage. "You let your curiosity lead you into danger. Now you must pay the price for your betrayal." He drew a dagger from his belt, his eyes glinting with cruelty. Isabella felt trapped, helpless, as he took a step toward her. But then an idea struck her, a desperate plea for time. "Please let me have a moment to pray and prepare myself," she said, hoping to delay the inevitable. Bluebeard hesitated, then nodded. "Very well. I'll give you 10 minutes, but after that, nothing will save you." He locked her in her room, leaving her alone to face her fate. Once she was alone, Isabella ran to her window, hoping for a miracle. Just then, she saw her sister Anne approaching the castle, coming to pay her a visit. Waving her arms, Isabella called out in a whisper, "Anne! Anne! Help me!" Anne looked up, alarmed by her sister's frightened face. Isabella quickly explained what had happened, telling her sister about the forbidden room and Bluebeard's dark secret. "Go back to the village," Isabella urged her sister. "Bring our brothers and tell them to come as fast as they can." Anne nodded and ran back toward the village. Meanwhile, Isabella paced her room, listening to the sound of Bluebeard's heavy footsteps outside her door as he counted down the minutes. "Please hurry," she whispered, praying her brothers would arrive in time. Just as Bluebeard reached the end of his countdown, he unlocked the door and entered the room, his dagger gleaming in his hand. "Your time is up," he said, his voice like ice. He seized Isabella's arm, pulling her toward the forbidden room. Isabella struggled, trying to stall him. "Please have mercy," she begged, but Bluebeard was unmoved. Just as he was about to open the door to the forbidden room, there was a loud knock at the castle gates. Bluebeard froze, a scowl spreading across his face. "Who dares to interrupt me?" he growled, tightening his grip on Isabella's arm. With a desperate shout, Isabella called out, "Help! I'm here! Save me!" The castle doors burst open, and her two brothers stormed in, their swords drawn and their faces set with determination. "Unhand our sister!" shouted the eldest brother, stepping forward to confront Bluebeard. Bluebeard sneered, his face twisted with anger. "Fools! You dare challenge me in my own castle!" A fierce battle erupted in the grand hall. Bluebeard fought with the strength and fury of a wild beast, his movements swift and deadly. But Isabella's brothers were skilled and brave, and they matched his every move. Swords clashed, echoing through the castle as sparks flew. Finally, with a swift strike, the eldest brother disarmed Bluebeard, sending his dagger skittering across the floor. The brothers forced him back, and with one final desperate cry, Bluebeard fell to the ground, defeated. With Bluebeard gone, Isabella and her siblings explored the castle, ensuring there were no more dark secrets hidden within its walls. They released the servants, who had lived in constant fear, and allowed them to return to the village. Together, they gathered Bluebeard's treasures, knowing they would put them to better use. Isabella hugged her brothers tightly, overwhelmed with relief. "Thank you for saving me," she whispered, tears in her eyes. Her brothers smiled, proud to have protected their sister. "We will always be here for you," they said. With Bluebeard's dark presence gone, Isabella inherited the castle and his wealth. But rather than live there alone, she chose to share her fortune with her family and friends. She transformed the once fearful castle into a place of light, welcoming those in need and using her wealth to help others. From that day on, Isabella was wiser and more careful. She never let curiosity lead her into danger again and always trusted her instincts. She and her family lived happily, knowing that together they were safe from harm. And so Isabella's story became a tale told far and wide, a reminder of the dangers of blind curiosity and the importance of courage and loyalty. The end.